Bless the Lord. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Today is August 30th, 2017. There's one more day in this month. There are a few more months in the year of 2017. I hope it has been a blessing for you thus far, and I hope that you are looking forward to what's yet to come, because the best is yet to come. And today is just wanted to continue talking to the husbands or to the brothers today, because there's just a little bit more I think is just vital to share as it relates to us being men. And yesterday we were talking about husbands, love your wives even as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. More of that, as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it, is where I want us to go today, as we are on our drive to work for today, and we're utilizing this time as an opportunity to be an encouragement to other people, going past just my own circumstances and utilizing my understandings and experience to share with others, which is something that I think is important to do. So husbands, to brothers, men, we should display a number of things as we navigate this life, which is extremely difficult at times. However, it's something that we must do because we are in the land of the living. First of all, happy Thursday. Have a beautiful day today. Wake up if you are on your way in, and be encouraged about what's before you, because it's a good day. It's a great day. It's going to be an amazing day. I have great expectations about the day I have before me, and I have a few things on my plate, but I'm encouraged about those things. And I have some other things that are a little bit larger that I have to take care of, that are going to take more than just today. But I'm encouraged about just being able to take care of what I can and moving forward with those things, with balance and with order and a proper allocation of time to what I have before me. But this is to the husbands, part 2, men, brothers included, of course single men. Being that man to your spouse, or being that man in that circle of influence that you have, is extremely important. Husbands, loving your wives as Christ loved the church. You can read about how Christ loved the church in the New Testament, and you can see that it was a number of things, a number of characteristics that we can take from how Christ loved the church to how we are to interact with our wives, and I dare say just be that source of strength, if you will, to the rest of those people around us. But I want to start just with the husband and wife union, because that is sort of where my heart is as it relates to my position in the earth realm. Again, as I said yesterday, I love marriage and I love the whole idea of what God created in terms of family. So this is just part 2 of that, of what we're going to sort of talk about for a few minutes as we are on our ride to work this morning. So just a few things: trust, honesty, the ability to apologize, being consistent or displaying consistency, faithfulness, which is huge, of course. All of them are huge. Communication, and giving your life, sacrificing, if you will. All of these things, I believe, Christ displayed as it relates to that dynamic of Christ and loving the church. And these are things that I think we should also, I don't want to say I think, but I know that we should display as men to our wives and to our families. Trust, starting with number 1, trust is huge. Trust is not something that is just handed out, that you can say, I got it, we trust, we're good to go. Trust is something that has to be earned, and I'm sure brothers can relate. I'm sure wives as well, if we're listening in, that you just don't give trust away. But it is something that when it is obtained, it makes that bond all this much more stronger. And it is something that you got to work towards, because trust comes when people feel comfortable. Trust comes when people feel like that you can be relied upon. Trust comes when you have displayed just consistency. So that is something that brothers, husbands, men, married or not, in that relationship. You want to be a person that can be trusted on your job. You want to be a person that can be trusted with things that are of value. Number one, of course, our wives are an extreme value to us as men. He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord. So our wives are a great asset to our life as just being a man. Number two, honesty. Man, if you don't have anything else, you can have a great word about or rapport about yourself, and that'll take you very far. Okay, so we want to be honest in our relationships, brothers. You know, sometimes it can be, we might not have all the answers, or we may not have all the skill. So we might say, you know what, I can take care of it, I can handle it. When the reality is we might not, because we may need some help. And as men, you know, sometimes pride can come in. We want to ask for help if we need help. It's absolutely okay to ask for help if you don't know everything. Trying to have the appearance of knowing everything could be detrimental, especially if someone is really needing you in a particular area. So just being honest and stating where you are to your wife is a good thing. She will appreciate that, because she knows where you guys are, and she knows that, you know what, you're being vulnerable, you're being open to where you are and where you guys are, the two of you are as a unit. Third point is being consistent. Of course, sort of already mentioned, but you know, be a person that's reliable, brother, husband. Be consistent in what you are bringing to your wife. What are you bringing to your family? If you're not, again, this is not just to married men, but just to men in general. You want to be a man that shows consistency in what you bring. You know, people like to see consistency, even if they don't know what it is. If they experience it, it's something that we're sort of just drawn to. So consistent is to consistently walk out, to do something repetitively that people can sort of depend on, especially if it's something that they need. You know, if for example, husbands, we have wives, and we are to love our wives as Christ loved the church. You know, loving your wife and being there for her when she needs you, giving her encouragement when she needs it, is something that is not sort of a one-off. It's something that's going to have to be done again and again over the course of your marriage. So providing that to her is going to be important. Okay? And being faithful, of course, being faithful to what you have committed to, which is something that, in terms of just the marriage relationship, is, as we can look at statistics from anywhere, and we see that the success rate hovers around the 50% mark for both secular and Christian religious believers. So this relationship of husband and wife is very challenging, because it challenges you on every side, not just the man but the woman. And it challenges us because it offends our mind, it offends what we want to do, it offends what we believe is right. And if we are unable to overcome that offense, then we want to find the quickest way to the door, unfortunately. But when we are able to go through those difficult things, it makes us stronger. I like to relate this to working out. When you start working out, whether it's cardio or whether it's free weights or going to the gym or what have you, it's always difficult at the beginning, because your body has to adjust to the strenuous activity, whether it be weight or whether it be running for 10 minutes, 30 minutes. If you're training for a marathon, I talked about this, I believe, before, your body has to get adjusted to the demands that you are putting on it. The breathing rhythms are a little bit more involved, they're a little bit heavier versus when you're just walking around. So there's training that has to go into that to develop your system to be able to run for long periods of time. If you're a person that hits the weights, brothers, you know that you can't just go into the gym and lift up 400 pounds. you can't if you've never worked out. You have to start with just the bar and then add weights, 5, 10, 20 pounds to get up to that point, because your muscles have to stretch, they have to tear, break down, and then they have to grow. And then from that point, it's through that tearing that they rebuild, and then they get stronger. So the same thing as it is in the relationship, in the marriage. Difficult times are guaranteed to come. Guaranteed. There's going to be some point in the relationship, and it's usually at the beginning, because we have two people coming together from two different worlds, two different sets of experiences, two different practices on this is how you do life. And when you put those two things together, it's water and oil. They just don't mix. But through communication, through honesty, through transparency, through understanding, through patience, through love, you can start to push aside those things that, you know what, now I'm starting to see that this is not a personal attack, but it's just a different. We have to be able to work through those differences. We have to be able to work through those differences. The differences that we have to work through with our husband, our spouse, our husband or our wife, that is the same thing that you have to work through as a believer. If you're a new person that's coming to Christ, you've been living your life the way you want to live it. But when you come to Christ, when you come to salvation, all those who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. You have to conform to what the scriptures say. You have to, Jesus says, those who love me will keep my commandments, or obey my commandments. So that means that you have to obey what commandments Christ has given you, because a Christian is a person that follows Christ. So the same thing with, and that, you know, that change, that confirmation can be difficult, because again, you have to put down maybe what you think is right or what you want to do for the relationship, for following Christ. And that same thing is important in the marriage relationship. And I believe that if we were able to endure the difficulty of those offenses, then we would have a greater success in the marriage union. And not just the marriage union, in relationships in period. Relationships on your job, relationship with your neighbors, etc. People that you find in the street. Offenses come on every side. How you handle those offenses is going to determine the quality of the relationship. If you never speak to your neighbor because they blast their music or what have you, or they aren't believers, that's something that offends you. So what are you going to do? You're not going to talk to them as much. But guess what? If you are the only believer on your block or in your neighborhood, and you never speak to that particular neighbor or anyone, then who's going to be the light in that area? You know what I mean? And just with that regard, I want to encourage you to pray for your neighborhoods. I want to encourage you to pray for your neighbors. As we're praying for people in Texas, pray for your neighborhoods, pray for your neighbors, pray for the peace around your home. Pray that the Spirit of God just inhabits your block or your township or wherever you may find yourself, if there is chaos and disorder. And I believe that the power of God can change even the atmosphere of your location, if that is something that is concerned for you. But getting back to things that offend us, we must be able to work through those things, because working through offense brings growth. Because an offense is simply something that is challenging the way you think something ought to go. And I want to challenge you, brothers, that a lot of times maybe the way we think things ought to go might not be the best way. So we need to put pride down, and we need to put down haughtiness or any of those things that us from being able to move forward. Again, we talked about moving forward last week. Don't allow anything to stop you from growing. That includes you. If you can grow, why not grow? If you can be a better person for the next day, why not? If you can be a better person for your wife, why not be that? If you can be a better person or better father for your son or for your daughter, why not be that? Why not take that opportunity? Because if you are a father, if you are a husband, then it is your responsibility to care for those people, to care for those who you are leading. Because men, husbands, you are the leaders of your home. And then let's go to the next point of communication. Communication is key. We have to learn how to communicate. We have to learn how to talk to people in a manner where they can receive what it is you need to express. We all have thoughts going through our mind. We all have ways that we feel about what happened. We have thoughts about the last argument that we had. We have thoughts about the last event that happened. Or we have thoughts about what you did that I didn't like. Those are opportunities for you to communicate. Because again, if you don't communicate something that you have a problem with or something that offended you, it's going to remain an offense and a barrier to you moving forward. Men, in your marriage relationships, it's going to be a barrier for you moving forward. Brothers, for you having relationships with other people on your job, your boss, co-workers, etc. If there's something there that you need to communicate, I'm praying that the Lord, that you would believe in God to give you the strength to say those things that make you nervous. Because you know, things that offend us, when it's time to talk about them, we get a little nervous, or our heart starts beating fast, or we get sweaty palms, or we may get angry because that thing offended us so bad it made us angry. I'm praying that God would show you how to frame what it is you need to say in a manner that is productive. Because when you can do that, then you can experience growth. If you are unable to communicate, then you can possibly say something that is well-intentioned, but it can explode and go the wrong way. So being able to communicate in your marriage, on your job, in your neighborhoods, to other people is important. Because we are not islands to ourselves. We have to be able to relate to God's people. Brothers, if another brother makes you mad, look, we are at this point in this day and age where people are carrying guns, people are carrying weapons, and I want to say that, you know, it's nothing new under the sun, right? People are carrying guns, and now they have the license to carry them. So listen, you got to be smart. We are in an age where, again, I want to say there's nothing new under the sun. Brothers of the black persuasion, the news is telling us that, you know what, the police are really have it out for us. That's what the news wants you to believe. So if you get caught up in that emotionally, I'm telling you right now that it's a trap. Don't fall for that trap. Number one, because the media is meant to get you on an emotional high. They're meant to do that. It's a trap. Don't fall for it. Brothers, keep a level head. If you are a brother of the black persuasion, be smart. I want to tell you that. Be smart. If you have a family, be smart. You have sons, be smart. You have daughters, be smart. They need you. But I'm not really a person that focuses on racism, because God is in control. And if God is in control, then I know he's not going to lead me in a way that's going to bring destruction. That is not God. God is a good father, and he's going to, because again, we talked about Bible study, and we've talked about dedicating time to studying your word. If you read about God and his word and how he's interacted with people from Genesis to Revelation, God always tells us what it is he wants us to do, and then he lets you know that if you don't do this, then this is what you can expect. I love that about God. He doesn't tell you to do something or just say, you know what, figure it out. And if you get a good reward, you get a good reward. If you get a bad reward, that's what you get. He doesn't do that. He's a good father. He's a loving father. It started way back in the beginning with Adam and Eve when he told them not to eat of a particular tree. Or what? There's always the instruction given with the consequence. So brothers, you are the head of your families if you have a family. If you don't, single men, you're preparing to have families one day. So there's good training ground. I pray that God would put a godly brothers, men in your life that's going to be an example to you. Because we need godly men. We need men that are going to be strong in this day and age where the enemy is trying to reach us on any side he can. He's going to try to offend your mind so that you respond emotionally, which can potentially destroy what you are trying to build. You could lose your job. And a loss of job is a loss of income. And a loss of income is the loss of the way to take care of your family. So think about it. I think everything is connected, really. I find ways to connect everything it is that you're going through. There's some cause and effect. There's some consequence to everything some action that you're going to take. So pause, wait, think about it. And then finally, just giving your life. Again, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. He sacrificed himself for the church. Ultimately, we see that he died on the cross because he loved us, and it was his purpose to do so. What is your purpose, brother? I want to say that your purpose is not a big mystery. It's not a big mystery. If you're a husband, your purpose is to love your wife. If you have children, your purpose is to educate your children in the fear of the Lord and to raise them up to be respectable and mature and God-fearing people. Your job, your purpose is to love your wife and to provide for your family, the needs that your family has, whatever they may be. And the needs of your family are spiritual. The needs of your family are physical. Love your family. Hug them. And the needs of your family are emotional. You got to do these things for your family. You got to encourage your family. You have to encourage them not just by bringing the check home. Our families need more than that. Brothers, we have so much influence as men. It's amazing how much influence we have. I want to use that word, if I can, from influence to power. We have a lot of power as it relates to our family because what we say carries so much weight. I talked to you about encouraging your wife. Speak positive to your wife. I heard one of the best examples coming up as a young man before I got married, and it is that your wife is a canvas. If you can look at her as a canvas, and you are the painter, what are you painting? What kind of picture are you showing the world in terms of how you're treating your wife or how you are responding to your wife? Same thing about your children. What kind of picture are you painting? Is the canvas blank because you haven't invested any time in them? I pray that's not your testimony. And if it is, praise God that you know what? Today is a new day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. God has given us a new day. He's given you a new opportunity. Amen. He's given you a new opportunity. So again, if there's anything that I could be praying with you guys, let me know, because I want to help brothers, especially. Again, my heart and passion is for families to love their wives. That's the area of encouragement that I feel that this is where I am most passionate about in this life that God has given me. To God be the glory. This was to the husbands, to the men and brothers part 2. And I'm reminding you to continue to pray, brothers. Read your word because it is important. It is important. God loves you. I love you with the love of the Lord. Happy Thursday.